Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k Necrons. Now in today's video we're going to be discussing 7 unique synergies from the Necron Index. Now these aren't my synergies, they're in fact your synergies. I asked you guys a number of weeks ago now in the communities tabs area what were your craziest synergies and combos, and I've taken a few of those. I've taken 7 of course, and I'm going to be talking about them in this video. So before we get into today's video, of course, if you've yet to subscribe, please do so by clicking subscribe down below. Right, let's get in to the very first synergy, which is from Auticus84. So shout out to you, Auticus84. And their synergy is to do with the Seraptek Heavy Construct, which is one of the big Forge World models, one of the most expensive units in our, in fact it is the most expensive unit in our, it's not in our index, but it's in the army, Imperial Armor Compendium, whatever you want to call it. So this thing obviously has a lot of range capabilities as well as melee capabilities. It's a pretty big beast. In fact, let me have a little look at the weapon, the Singularity Generators, 36-inch range, not heavy, blast, devastating wounds, 2d6 attacks, strength 12, minus 3 AP, 4 damage. I think we've got 2 of those as well. But yeah, in melee as well, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Now what Auticus84 has done is they've got a Technomancer directly behind the Heavy Construct, I presume, with the Sovereign Coronal Aura. So that is where units within 6 inches will have the buff of being led, so they'll get a +1 to their hit roll. He's also going to be using the Technomancer ability, which is to heal D3 lost wounds to a unit within 3 inches, and the Canoptic Cloak to give the bearer the lone operative ability, so it can't be targeted unless pretty close. What they then have done is they've got a Canoptic Spider with 2 things: the Fabricator Chlorate Aura, so the vehicles within 6 inches have a 6+ feel no pain save, and the Gloom Prism Aura, so units within 6 inches have a 4+ feel no pain save against psychic attacks, so that's a little bit more resiliency. And then on top of that you get the Canoptic Reanimator with the Reanimator Beam, 12 inches to reanimate D3 lost wounds. So all in all, what does that achieve? So let's talk about the heavy constructs. You get a 3+ armor save, you've got a 5+ invulnerable save, a 6+ feel no pain save, it's toughness 12 already, 24 wounds. It's going to have 2 lots of reanimation protocols because of the reanimator as well as the actual army rule, and D3 can be healed in the movement phase with the Technomancer as well. So virtually it's like having D3 times 3 wounds returned in your own turn, and that's pretty epic. That's pretty epic, along with the feel no pain saves and all that. So a pretty good piece of synergy to keep that Seraptek Heavy Construct up and running. On to the second one, we've got the Project Side 6812, so shout out to you, and they have got the following piece of synergy with the Lychguard. Now to be honest with you, this is one of the ones I've been using quite a lot lately, and I think it's pretty good. So I wanted to get that in this video, and you've said it. So what do you do with the Lychguard? You get Orican the Diviner. Of course, you can only have one of those. He is an epic hero. And the Master Chronomancer ability will give these guys a 4+ invulnerable save. Now, why this is good is it means your Lychguard can take the War Scythes rather than the shields, and Orican still provides the invuln save even though they don't have the shields, which is pretty good. He's also got the Stars of Right ability, of course, so he can triple his attacks and strength of the Staff of Tomorrow, and every wound roll will be a critical hit, which is in fact a devastating wound, a D3 damage each time. So he's actually quite good as well in melee when he does Hulk up. You then get a Necron Lord, that will be your noble. So the Lychguard, their abilities in fact being boosted, it's a -1 to wound them, but he's got 3 different abilities: Relentless March to add 1 to the movement of the unit, the Lord's Will so that you can use stratagems even though the unit is battle shocked, and the Resurrection Orb to use reanimation protocols in your opponent's command phase. You then further add something else, which of course is the Crypto Thralls for the 4+ feel no pain save on the Crypto Buckets, as well as the Cryptek, which is Orican, and they've also got the Fight on Death ability, which is Systematic Figure. On a 3+, you can still fight even though your models have been destroyed. So all in all, what does this synergy achieve? Again, you're retaining your invulnerable save even though you've not got the shields. The Lord can in fact further take an enhancement, which I would personally use the Hyper Material Ablator for a -1 to hit them at range, as well as the cover ability. You're going to get cover, so anything that's got a -AP, it takes that away. Unless of course they are within 12 inches, then it won't actually have cover. There's a fair amount of strength 8, 2 damage of -1 to wound the unit because of the noble within the unit, and the Crypto Thralls having the feel no pain save as well as Orican the Diviner. That's going to make them quite tanky. You've also got the CP stratagem for, which is the Protocol of Undying Legions, to be able to, no, not Undying Legion, what's the other one? The Protocol of Eternal Guardian, that's the one where you can bring a character back up once they get destroyed. So there's lots of different things to keep this unit up and running. And then finally the Resurrection on the Lord. That's going to make this synergy pretty good. On to number 3, this one is from Stephen Repper 8118, and they have gone with the unit of Immortals. So you take Amrakir the Traveller, which is another one of our epic heroes, and his ability, Lord of the Fyrian Eternals. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the wound roll. So they are already strength 5, both for the weapons. So adding 1 to the wound roll is going to be pretty good. That makes the strength pretty high if you think of it in that way. Because even if they were toughness 9, for example, you're still going to be wounding on 4s. So that effectively makes the strength of your weapon strength 9, if that makes sense, because of that +1 to the wound roll. Because normally you would be wounding on a 5+. Now, of course, he's going to provide the Command Protocols ability, which is the detachment ability. So it's going to be a +1 to hit, so they're hitting on 2s as well. And then what you then take is a Plasmancer. I like the Plasmancer this edition, and the reason why is the Harbinger of Destruction. You're going to be scoring critical hits on a 5+ rather than a 6+. Then his Living Lightning ability, of course, for the Mortal Wound outlay as well. But why this is good, why the 5+ critical hits is good, is because if you take in, for example, the Gorse Blasters, then it's lethal hits on a 5+, so you don't even need to roll to wound, although that, to me, wouldn't quite make that much sense, because you've got a +1 to the wound roll, as well as re-rolling ones, because that's what Immortals do as well. If you're shooting on an opponent that's on an objective, you get to re-roll, well, all the wound rolls in fact, and if they're not on an objective, it's just the ones. The more I think about this, the more I think it's going to be the Tesla Carbines, because you want the Sustained Hits 2 ability on the Tesla Carbines, which you've got, and that's going to be going off on a 5+ rather than a 6+ because of the Plasmancer. So then it will stack with the Immortals ability as well as Amrakir the Traveller's ability much more nicer. So I think that's where you've gone with this. Right, onto I've lost count of the numbers now, but I'm going to go with this one. I know who this is, but because YouTube is now showing they're showing the names differently now. This is Carboose 759, but I know this person is Rare Rush. I can tell by the image as well as the little members area icon next to their name. So Rare Rush, I know this is you. And he's gone with the Lokhust Lord. Now you need to take the Sovereign Chronal to make this ability work, or make the synergy work. And he's also going to be taking the Resurrection Orb. Now what you're going to be doing with this one, this is something I haven't tried yet, by the way, guys. I'm going to take your word. He's taking the Triarch Stalker. I'm not a big fan of it, but let's go with it. So the targeting relay ability from the Triarch Stalker, in your shooting phase, each time this model is selected to shoot, after resolving its attack, select one enemy unit that is hit by one or more of these attacks. Until the end of the phase, that unit cannot benefit from cover. So if, for example, you were taking the Heat Ray, you could potentially automatically be hitting, so that's going to definitely get you some attacks that hit to get rid of the cover. You then take a unit of Lokhust Destroyers, not the heavier version, just Lokhust Destroyers. They've got the Hardwired for Destruction ability, so each time a model in the unit makes an attack that targets the closest eligible unit, reroll hit rolls of a 1. Now, of course, if you're going to be targeting the same unit that the Triarch Stalker targeted, then they're going to be removing cover as well. So what does all this do? What does it all achieve? The Lokhust Lord gives the unit the ability to hit on 2s because it's a +1 to the hit roll with Command Protocols. The Destroyer also allows you to reroll. The Destroyers also reroll hit rolls of a 1 to the closest eligible unit. There'll be no cover due to the attacks made by the Stalker's Heat Ray or whatever weapon that you're using. You've then got the Lokhust Lord's ability to have critical hits on a 5+ rather than a 6+. So those lethal hits could be going off quite easily. And if things do get messy, the Triarch Stalker can of course intervene, get to engagement range and fight to defend the Destroyers, which aren't necessarily that good in combat. The Lokhust Lord can do the Lokhust Lord's, War Scythe thing. Is it the Lord's Blade that he's got now? But yeah, the Triarch Stalker can assist in combat. And of course, after all said and done, the Resurrection Orb will help, which the Lokhust Lord is carrying. So yeah, turning off cover with the Triarch Stalker and then using the Gorse Cannons from the Lokhust Destroyers so that -2 AP stays as a -2 AP. I think that's where the synergy is going with this one. On to the next one, Illuminor Szeras. In fact, let's do the shout out first. We've got Riceboy9535, so shout out to you. Illuminor Szeras, and the synergy is with a couple of Hexmark Destroyers. Of course, the Hexmark Destroyers have got a couple of abilities which are really nice for Overwatch. You get to use one of the units gets to use Overwatch for free, and both of them, well, you could still pay one command point to get the other one to do Overwatch, and their Overwatch will be on a 2+ rather than a 6+. It's got the precision ability on top of that with those pistols that it's got, and then the multi-threat eliminator. Every unit within 3 inches of this model that gets targeted at range, you can shoot as if it was your shooting phase. Now what Rice Boy has done is they've put all 3 of these together, and there's a reason for that. All 3 of them are lone operatives. So units will need to get within 12 inches just to target them. So that makes it quite tricky. Of course, as soon as they are within 12 inches, that means they're within range of the pistols that the Hexmark destroyers carry, which is a bit of a danger for your opponent. We've then got our Overwatch ability, which we've just kind of spoke about. We can do it free for one of the models. You can pay CP for the other one. It's going to be on a 2+ to do that. Illuminor Szeras can fight pretty well. He's also got a good... His Eldritch Launch has got 36 inches, and it's what, strength 9 minus 3 AP, 3 damage I think it is, off the top of my head. And what I would further do to add to this synergy is add a couple of battle line units, probably Necron Warriors, flanking the sides, 2 units of 20 or something, and Illuminor Szeras is going to be boosting those guys up as well. That would be a good solid defense. So all in all, mainly it's because they're lone operatives, so your opponent can literally not target them at range unless they are very close, and then that's when the fun begins. Next we've got One Thunder 79, and he has used Lokhust Heavy Destroyers. Now with the Lokhust Heavy Destroyers, he's got a Lokhust Lord, which of course has the 5+ critical hits on it with the Destroy Cult ability and the Resurrection Orb. We kind of mentioned him earlier in this video. And what you're going to be doing is putting the Veil of Darkness relic on this Lokhust Lord. So in your opponent's turn, at the end of their turn, you can literally take a unit off the battlefield, and then in your movement phase of your turn and the next turn, you're going to be coming in effectively like deep striking. Now what he's done is with the Lokhust Heavy Destroyers, he's not using the Ghost Destructors, he's using the Exterminator weapon, which is the anti-infantry weapon. I think it's strength 6 minus 1 AP, 1 damage, sustain hits. So you, in your opponent's turn, you're removing the unit, you're coming back in, you can now be within rapid fire because that weapon has a rapid fire weapon, which means every single Lokhust Heavy Destroyer in that unit of 3 will have 12 shots rather than 6 because you're in rapid fire range. Once you come in, you're only 9 inches away, right? In fact, you can go right up to 18 if you wanted to, so you've got plenty of space there. Each one has sustained hits 1, and you've got critical hits over 5+. So every 5+, you're going to get an extra hit. So when you've got a unit of 3 of them, you're actually getting an average of 42 hits when all said and done, which is quite a lot. Remember, you're getting the +1 to the hit roll as well because of the command protocols. So yeah, when you've got strength 6 minus 1 AP, 1 damage with 42 hits, that's doing a lot of work. You can then use the command protocol of Conquering Tyrant, just for extra giggles I suppose, because you get to reroll all your wound rolls. That's when you've got a leader in the unit, which we do have. So that's another nice bit of synergy. And now this one I think is the final one. I think I got carried away earlier on. This is the final one. This is from 40k Punk 45. They've got some Necron Warriors. What they've done is they've added a Royal Warden. Now the Royal Warden's adaptive strategy ability this edition is while this model was leading a unit, range weapons equipped with the models will have the heavy and assault abilities. So the heavy doesn't really have that much of a factor unless there's a -1 to hit penalty, because yes, if you stay stationary you get a +1 to the hit roll, but having a leader in the unit will also give you a +1 to the hit roll anyway because of command protocols. Now of course when we do eventually get our codex, maybe we're not using the Awakened Dynasty, maybe we're using a different dynasty, so therefore that rule won't apply. So heavy may actually be more important at that stage, but right now it's got less of a value to this ability. But really we're focusing on the assault ability here. The assault ability allows the unit to advance and still fire as normal. So when these guys are moving 5 inches and then you've got an advanced move, let's just say you move 4 as an example, right? So that's a 9-inch move and you're still firing, but it gets better than that. Because what you can also do is add a Cryptek to the unit, and it's going to be the Chronomancer. The Chronomancer's got 2 abilities that are going to relate to this unit. The first one is a -1 to the hit roll for enemy units firing at your unit. That's called the Time Slater Mantle, but mainly it's the Chronometron ability. So in your shooting phase, after this model's unit has shot, if it's not within engagement range of an enemy unit, you can make a move up to 5 inches as if it was your movement phase. You then can't declare a charge, which you're not going to do anyway, right? So let's go back to that example. We've already advanced. Let's say we've got 9 inches in total. We've made a shot. We can then go a further 5 inches. A further 5 inches. You're now talking 14 inches of movement, as well as being able to shoot with just your standard Necron Warriors, which that's quite rapid. That's like, what, Tomb Blade equivalent there, and you're still moving around with 20 Necron Warriors in fact. So that could be, yeah, you can use that for a lot of different things. You can get into cover, get onto an objective, get close, fire with the Ghost Reapers, and then get back a little bit to prevent your opponent from charging as easily as they could. There's lots of different bits of ways of using that. It's very flexible and a very cool synergy. Now you can further boost that synergy by adding crypto throws, of course. I'm not really highlighting the defense of this unit. I'm trying to highlight the speed. So that's why this person in fact has not added the crypto throws in their synergy. So guys, that is my 7. I think it was 7, right? Was it 7 or 8? You'll have to let me know if I messed that one up. But either way, that's my, well, it's yours. It's not even mine. It's the community combos that are crazy combos. I like the look of pretty much all those. I want to be using them. The Tryout Stalker one, I'm still a bit not unsure. But I'm going to give it a go. So I'll let you know how that goes in the Discord, in fact. So guys, yeah, that is the end of the video today. Make sure you are subscribed as we said earlier in the video. And make sure you are liking on your exits. Guys, thank you all for watching. See you in the next one.